Yes, revolutionary greetings once again, comrades. Welcome to Consciencism Study Group. We are a group of progressive Pan-Africans who actually sit either as philosophers, but to share our thinking and read and dig deep to what Nkrumah wrote in the book Consciencism. So this is not only a book, it's a philosophy and ideology that Nkrumah prescribed to be the philosophy and ideology, in fact, a Pan-African philosophy and ideology for decolonizing Africa. And Nkrumah put in this book very important issues that can help us to build our consciousness in order to learn how we can fully decolonize Africa. And the key agenda that Nkrumah had in mind and the Nkrumah's vision is the total liberation of Africa, total unification of Africa, and total development of Africa. So Nkrumah wrote this book, Consciencism, and he has started out from the introduction. We are now in the part, which is the chapter 1, which is philosophy in retrospect. Nkrumah takes us back to start from the philosophical questions. And the key issue he asks us is the origin of the universe. He starts what there is and how what there is. So what there is starts with what is the universe made up of? That's the first question in this philosophical aspect. And then how that which made the universe is. How? So there's the what there is and how what there is. Those are two questions that we are trying to understand here in this chapter of philosophy in retrospect. And the two answers that have been coming in is two, that either the universe is made up of spirits and ideas, or the universe is made up of matter. And then that form the two broad positions in the thinking. In fact, it's the main positions in the thinking. You are either an idealist or you believe in idealism by accepting or confirming or subscribing to the thinking that the universe is made up of spirits or ideas, or you're either materialist by confirming that the universe or by believing and accepting that the universe is made up of matter. But to this aspect, Nkrumah takes us to a level where we've actually analyzed the idealism position. And we've now gone to materialist position. And one thing that's very clear, Nkrumah says, that to the conscious or the consciousism philosophy, the standpoint is that matter is the primary reality. While it is not the sole reality, it doesn't mean that everything is matter like the hardcore materialist. We, on consciousness aspect, understand and accept that any other form of either spirits and the rest can actually originate from matter. So matter is the primary reality that any other form of things can come from. And when we talk of matter, we don't only talk of physical matter. We talk even non-physical matter. For example, spirits and those ideas and any other formation that can come in are still matter. For example, the air, water, earth or land, those are forms of matter. So in this aspect, we take a stand that matter is the primary reality. Then through categorical conversion, we can arrive to any other form of matter. For example, when you heat something, it's changed from solid form to either liquid to vapor form. So that's how our stand is, that any other reality or any other existence are actually derived from matter. And that through categorical conversion, you can arrive at any other thing you want. So we don't take the hardcore position that matter is the only thing that exists or that spirit is the only thing that exists, but we take the position that matter is the primary reality, is the source of everything. Everything can be found or can be derived from matter. Then we have come across two positions. We have come across two conceptual tools. One is the logical tool and the scientific tool. And we've checked about constructionism, reductionism, and nominalism. So this is the book we've been reading, and this is the position we've arrived at so far, and we are continuing the reading. We are almost done, in fact. If you might not be able to be done today in this paragraph, maybe the next class will be done with this first chapter as we move to the second chapter. This has taken us around 5 months or 4 months of discussions every day, paragraph by paragraph. That can tell you the depth of how we go to it. We are not just a reading club. We actually go deep to understand. And everybody, after we read a paragraph, everybody, as our tradition, you're given time to share what you think, which means what is your understanding of that paragraph, how you think or how you understand it. Nobody forces your understanding or your thinking. So we ask you, after a paragraph is read, we go through the list of members present and we ask you, how do you understand that paragraph, or what's your thinking on that paragraph? After everybody have shared their thinking in that paragraph, we move to the next paragraph. And that's how we move slowly by slowly, but take into consideration that everybody has ability to think. And we give you space to think. If you're not able to think, we ask you can tell us, pass, I'm not able to think, so that other people can speak. Then you can be able to come back once you find something to contribute. So that's how we've been doing this, and that's our procedures and our normal proceedings. So welcome everybody who is here. I've seen Joseph is here, Sister Pamela is here, Carrington is here, DJ Mr. P is here, Maha from Kenya is here, Michael is here, Sister Myra is here, Oladi Dennis is here, Tapua from Zimbabwe, the first joining us is here, Rakweri, which is of course Nicholas Rakweri from Kenya, new member is also here. So we have new members joining us today like Tapua, Rakweri, Olodi, we have Maha, and the rest of join us. So feel most welcome. Let me give it to Brother Christian Kwame, our chair of the class, to start us official. Kwame, brother, please.
Yeah, Brother Pigeon, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I think you've done a very good job in introducing the class and what we are doing. And I don't think there is much for me to add because you've done a very good job, except to remind us all that we have our resident physicist, who is Carrington Kinyan Jui, if I pronounce it right, that is.
Yes, that's correct.
He's a resident physicist, which means that when it comes to the physicist explanation of matter, we rely on him to give us a correct explanation. He is also a mathematician. I'm a mathematics teacher myself, but he is also a mathematician. So where there is need, we combine and help to explain. Yeah, so I think Brother Pigeon has said a lot. What I would add also is that yes, he mentioned that we are reading the book, but I want us all to be aware that Consciencism, that's the book we are reading, is not a theory as such. Why do I say so? It's basically Nkrumah bringing together philosophy, within world philosophy, as a consequence of his experience as a Pan-Africanist, leading the decolonization of the African continent. So what we have here is the thinking that enabled Nkrumah to decolonize the continent of Africa. This is the philosophy. And a lot of the challenges you see on the continent today is because people do not have the requisite philosophy. Even progressives, many of them do not subscribe to this book. I know some of them. And so they have been able to offer nothing. And what they are left with is Marxism, which Nkrumah accepted. But Nkrumah went beyond Marxism to produce our own philosophy. It's quite an interesting history. So the book we are reading is the philosophy we need. So it's a legacy we have. So we need to master it and then build on it. The other point I also want to make is that as Brother Pigeon said, the starting point as Pan-Africanists, our starting point is not the family. Our starting point is not Africa. Our starting point is not the world. Our starting point is a universe. So this mindset is the highest you can have in terms of, if you want to talk about where Africa is going, then you must know where Africa sits in the universe and so on. So and this is why a lot of people get lost when they come to Consciencism and they don't understand it, because they are starting from the wrong point. And chapter 1 makes it very clear, as Brother Pigeon said, what is our universe? So those are the big questions. What is our universe? And what is it made of? And of that, there have only been two answers in terms of world philosophy. There's no other answer. People can talk and talk and talk. At the end of the day, you are either an idealist or you are a materialist. Period. Of course, there are versions of it, but that's so. Yeah, Brother Pigeon, carry on with the sharing, and if I need to, I will come in. Thank you.
Thank you. Permit me.
Like you said, well, I also want to welcome everyone. Today we have 15 participants. That's one of the biggest we've had on a Thursday. So welcome all of you from all parts of the world.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Brother Pigeon.
Brother Pigeon, before you get serious.
Brother Patrick.
Yeah, Brother Pigeon, before you get serious, please.
Yes.
I'm still trying to get the weekly recordings, but I'm not being successful.
Okay, so I don't know how I might help you, but I'll try to share with you again the link of the weekly recording. I don't know if you can be able to.
You know when it goes to the HPTT. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. The link.
No, if you go to YouTube.
Is it YouTube I go to, or is it WhatsApp?
Go to YouTube.
But I don't know how to get in. What do I do when I go to YouTube?
Okay, I'll
so
help
what I'll suggest, Brother Pigeon, what I'll suggest is link up with Brother
I'll call him.
Yeah, privately, and
Patrick,
then help him sort it out. Yep.
Let me call him. Let me call him because I know what he's
channel on
I'll call
YouTube.
you,
It's quite
Brother
simple.
Patrick.
Yeah, because I'm trying so hard.
He is in the meeting, but he's asking for help to access the videos.
No,
YouTube.
I'll call him or chat him by the chat so that I can. Okay, so thank you, Brother. Thank you, Brother Patrick. So permit me also to recognize in your list, Brother Kwame, that I think I'm not bragging of Kenya, but we are trying to come up with more people. Brother Carrington Nyanjui is here. We have Naftali, Dr. Naftali is a doctor, is here. We have another lawyer here, Akwiri Nicholas from Kenya is here. And you have an activist, Comrade Ture is here. So I think some youth from Kenya are trying.
But I think it's okay. Kenya is the origin of man, so it's okay.
So permit me to appreciate them, and it's a challenge to all of us to bring our fellow comrades from wherever we are, so that we can build this thinking together. So as I've said before, is that we do read paragraph per paragraph. So if you can see my screen, for those who are able to see my screen, there's a paragraph here starting with the mechanism of sensation. That's where we are supposed to start our class today. In our previous class, however, we actually read the paragraph before that starts with according to this objection. So as always we do, I'll ask Brother Carrington to read the previous class or the previous paragraph just as it is, then just give a brief summary of what that paragraph was talking about in regards to theory of relativity, because it's like we are ending the theory of relativity and now we are getting towards the mechanism of sensation, which is another part, which almost now will take us to the end of this chapter. So, Brother Carrington, if you are able, can you read for us the paragraph starting with according to this objection, then summarize for us the relativity theory, because he's a resident physicist and relativity theory has been much of physics we'll be discussing, so that now we can get to the new paragraph that talks of mechanism of sensation that now become a new paragraph for this class today, and we share our thinking. Brother Carrington?
Thank you very much, Brother Pigeon. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, brothers and sisters, and welcome. And for our visitors who have joined us, karibuni sana. Since most of you are Kenyan, I'll say welcome in Kiswahili. My name is Carrington. My name is Carrington Kinyanjui. I'm a student and here to learn your views and also give my views. So I will read this paragraph to do with relativity, and then we will have a little bit of a short discussion as to how to best interpret it in light of the Osagie for Kwame Nkrumah's understanding of it with regards to materialism. According to this objection, relativity's merging of space-time constitutes an objection to materialism, whether dialectical or serene. There is a nagging feeling that with the merging of space and time, matter's life in space and its movement in time are snuffed out. But this nagging feeling can be soothed by the reflection that the only independent reality which philosophical materialism allows is matter. And since absolute time and absolute space must be conceived as independent, if they are absolute, in a way they're incompatible with philosophical materialism. The abandonment of both would therefore be so far from representing the disgrace of philosophical materialism that would be its triumph. a few minutes for what we discussed last week. We discussed the historical basis and the scientific basis and the logical basis of the special theory of relativity and a little bit of the general theory of relativity, both proposed by Einstein, the first one in 1905 and later on the general theory in 1915, regarding the nature of motion of matter in space and time. We talked about contradictions that existed within classical mechanics and electromagnetics, and how these contradictions were resolved by Albert Einstein in 1905 and later on in a much more general fashion in 1915 by joining space and time. Now, there is an interpretation of the theory that allows the interpretation of space and time to be physical objects. And if space and time are physical objects, if time is as physical as space, the past is as physically real as the present, and the present is as physically real as the future. And therefore, our understanding of the motion of matter in space-time has to be much more sophisticated. And this is what Kwame Nkrumah is bringing to the fore in saying that since the motion of matter in space-time has to be much more sophisticated, there are some people who interpret the special and general theories of relativity to imply that philosophical materialism cannot be fundamentally correct because matter stops being the prime of the universe. The atoms of matter stop being the prime building blocks of the universe. But Kwame is turning this position on its head. It's saying, well, then let's look at space and time. What is Einstein doing with space and time when he joins them together and ensures that they interact with matter and they govern the motion of matter in the special and general theories? What Einstein is doing is making space and time physical objects, just as real as your plate, just as real as your spoon, and therefore subject to the laws of physics, and if subject to the laws of physics, can be considered as states of matter. And therefore, fundamentally, space and time themselves are manifestations of some form of matter we do not understand very well, but nonetheless are materialistic. Elder Kwame has repeatedly said that materialistic here does not mean somebody who likes money or I don't know, big cars, or I don't know, mansions, i.e. African politicians. But materialism here implies something different, something connected to matter, a philosophical position of being connected to matter, a philosophical position that everything in the universe is derivable from states of matter. And since we are saying that space-time itself is derivable from states of matter, everything in the universe is brought under the fore of materialism. And therefore, the special and general theories of relativity, as proposed by Einstein, imply that philosophical materialism is strengthened. You can never say that it is confirmed because this is not how science works. This is not how philosophy works, but the position of philosophical materialism is strengthened. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that comment. We do appreciate that expertise or in fact, explanation, but that doesn't mean it's final. So anybody who might react to this is free to ask any question and give their contributions in regards to that, or maybe add anything else they want to add in regards to that before we move to the next paragraph, which is now the paragraph of our explanation.
Yes, please. Just
what
a question.
Dr. Carrington was doing was explanation of our previous class, and that was the end of it. So anybody in the next maybe 2 to 3 minutes or 4 minutes, anybody who have any question in regards to whatever has been explained in our past paragraph, or have to share something also, their understanding, you're free to do so, please.
A quick question, please.
Yes, please.
Sorry, was the brother Codrington was talking in it?
Brother Patrick, come up again.
Yeah. Who was the brother who was speaking? Brother Charrington, brother.
Yes, Brother Carrington.
Brother Clinton. Could you please, Brother Clinton, just add purpose into your what you've just explained to us, please?
You are requesting add what?
Sorry, I haven't gotten you. I haven't quite gotten you, Brother Patrick.
Yeah, could you add purpose? You know, because in terms of, like, for example, the need to liberate Africa, so the purpose of what you have explained, but is it possible that you could bring it down to purpose?
Okay.
Is it possible? I don't know.
So you apply whatever you've been explaining to current situation in Africa or how it can help liberate Africa. I think that's what he's asking.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So how does...
Okay, let me take the hand of Julie's first name. Now you can answer. Okay, Julie.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank
you. Yeah. I was asking.
Yes, Brother Kwame.
Before Brother Jules continues,
okay.
Can I respond to Brother
Okay, Brother Jules, can you hold on a bit so that Brother Kwame can come in?
So, brother, so the brother is asking, he's asking Brother Carrington to apply what he said to the African situation. Is that correct, brother?
Yes.
Okay. So let's remember why Nkrumah went down this route. And Brother Carrington will later, when we get there, explain what is called in physics the wave particle theory of light. Because that is what we'll be getting at. And why it's, to be very brief, why it is important is that before Einstein's wave particle theory of light, the fundamental building blocks of the universe were seen as atoms. Of course, now we have quarks and so on and so forth, but let's remain at the level of the atom. Now, the atom, which is a name for the African god Atum of ancient Egypt, that's where it came from. That's where the word atom came from. Now, that view that the universe is made up of these little, like pebbles, building blocks, that idea was applied to society or to social theory. So it came to mean that you saw society as made up of individuals. And those individuals of society were like atoms. And in physics, atoms can be separate. Yeah, you can have separate atoms. And atoms have everything. They can exist as individual atoms. They don't need to interact with another atom. They can, but they don't need to, and so on. Now, so individuals were seen in that sense. And that was what is called the atomic view of society. And the idea that we are all individuals, and therefore I am separate from you, you are separate from me. In fact, it glorifies the individual and puts the individual as the highest good, to the extent that it was even believed that one individual could transform history, called in history it's called the big man society, or the big man version of history. So in short, society was seen as made up of individuals. But then the argument then goes, if society is made up of individuals, then there's no such thing as society, only individuals. Hold on a minute. So why are we Africans fighting to unite anything? There's nothing to unite. Why? Because if you apply the view of the atom to the 55 African countries, you can see them as atoms in their own right. Therefore, they can exist like atoms do in their own right. Ghana doesn't need Nigeria. Nigeria does not need Kenya. Kenya doesn't need Libya, and so on and so forth. And this view of society is what the imperialists brought to us. And in the Christian tradition, as you will all know, there was something called, if you like, your personal salvation. It was between you and your God, not between your sister. It's not to do with your sister, your brother, your auntie. It doesn't matter. It is between you and your God. In other words, atomism was even applied to faith to the extent that all you have to worry about is your personal salvation. Your mother has to save herself. You can't save her, and so on. Now, Brother Patrick's question goes to the heart of this view of society, because now what we are reading in terms of the relativity theory, and I said we'll come to the heart of it later, is that Nkrumah was saying that if Pan-Africanists want to liberate, unify, and develop Africa, they must dispense with the atomic view of society. Otherwise, you cannot unite the continent. If you believe that all the different African states are atoms in their own right, and then within that state, all the individuals are also atoms in their own right, then there's no such thing as society anymore. All we have are individuals. That view of the world works for the rich and powerful because they want to remain as individuals and continue to exploit us. So for them, it works. But it doesn't work for all of us. So, Brother Patrick, I hope the little I've added kind of begins to make sense.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
And because I've missed so many classes, but that's beautiful. Yes, wonderful.
Yeah. So as we go along and we have our resident physicist here, a lot of things will be explained. Let's remember something. It was believed that we Africans could not even think. In fact, we were not even human. So in terms of matter, what they were saying is that we had no powers of self-motion, which of course was a lie, and so on and so forth. So let me pause here in terms of Brother Brother Pigeon, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Kwame. I'll ask Brother Jules Comrade Jules to ask the question or give the contribution, because actually we are here also sharing our thinking. We are not only having people to answer, but you are also free to share your thinking. This is a space where you're free to share your thinking. So, Brother Comrade Jules, kindly go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I was asking the name of the book you are reading or the title. That's my first question. And my contribution
is okay.
And my contribution is that we are talking about philosophy. Philosophy is a kind of dissertation. So everybody can explain the idea by himself as he understands. But now, the theory of relativity of Albert Einstein, how does he, how Sergio for Kwame Nkrumah explain that theory and what that theory can give us now as Pan-Africanists? Thank you.
Thank you for that. Brother Carrington, can you come into where you can react to, and then I'll ask Brother Kwame also to react so that we move to the 2 paragraphs on my screen.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Brother Pigeon, and thank you very much, Brother Jules, for your question. Very quickly, the first question of how Osajefo brings in the theory of relativity, he's using it as a sort of retort. There are some people who think, and still to this day think, that the theory of relativity can be used to retort against the position of philosophical materialism. So he's using it as a sort of stylistic device to show that actually philosophical materialism is much more robust than the people who use the theory of relativity to retort it would believe. So that's the first thing. The second thing is now a question of values. How would the theory of relativity help us? Practically, I will start with the theory of philosophical materialism and then move to the theories of relativity specifically. From philosophical materialism, basically the idea that there is no privileged position in the universe. There is no blessed spirit. I was watching a video last week, and a Frenchman who was moving through Kenya has now entered Uganda, found our two Ugandan brothers somewhere in the village. And these Ugandan brothers insisted that the French people and the Europeans have been blessed by God. They have a stronger spirit, you see. Philosophical materialism rejects that. There is no spirit. There is no blessing. Your mastery over nature will determine the state of your civilization, essentially. Your ability to control nature, your ability to understand and control nature will determine the state of your civilization exclusively. And this is the story of philosophical materialism. There is no luck in this game. The game is to understand the universe. And that's why Brother Christian is insisting that we start from the universe. So what is the universe? And how do we position ourselves with respect to the universe so that we control the stuff that is under our ground and on top of it for the flourishing of the continent. So this very liberatory sort of idea, I am a big subscriber to this idea. Now to the theory of relativity. Historically, the theory of relativity has played out very, very importantly, has been a very strong factor in the historical development of the world. I'll give you an example. Americans, as we have agreed, by the way, are not blessed. Americans basically took in Einstein and took in a group of Hungarian Jewish physicists and European physicists and assembled them and basically combined these two theories that we've talked about, the theory of relativity and quantum theory, as alluded to by Brother Christian, and combined them to create a new field, essentially called nuclear physics. And nuclear physics between the years of 1939, late 1930s to 1945 was responsible for the construction and development of nuclear weapons, which helped the United States overrun the empire of Japan. Secondly, it gave the United States a lot of energy since they learned how to apply this technology just away from weapons, to apply this technology to build nuclear reactors, by the way, out of minerals in Shikolombwe in Eastern Congo. The minerals that powered the first nuclear weapons and the first nuclear reactor came from Congo. Why? Why? Where were Africans in all this? We did not understand the universe as well as the Americans. The Americans are not blessed. They are better philosophical materialists. I will end with a short story just to demonstrate that point. I am a big fan of science fiction, as you can probably tell. In a series called Fringe, people come from the future and invade the present, which is their past, and they colonize the present. They end up controlling the entire planet, right? And there is a sect, there's a cult of people who start to worship these very strange descendants who have come to colonize us, because they can appear and disappear anywhere they want. They can walk through walls, etc. And then a rebellion movement begins. Typically, as human beings are wont to, a rebellious movement begins, and the leader says something that I think I really will never forget for the rest of my life. He tells a certain member of the public who talks about the mystical ability of these beings. He tells them they are not gods, they are not angels, they just know more mathematics than you do. Yeah, that's all.
On the mathematics, Brother Kwame will be happy on that. The power of mathematics.
If I may add to what Brother Carrington has said, and that is that there is a story in Plato. By the way, Plato's stories are African stories, which is where people saw things as shadows because it was a reflection. So it was a cave. It was a cave story, and they saw reality as shadows, and they didn't know that outside the cave was the real sunlight, where they could see reality as reality. So I just thought I would add that, Brother Carrington.
Okay. Thank you for that. So let's proceed to our reading today. Comrades, if you feel free to put your hand up in case you want to add something or ask anything. But let's go to our reading today now. We'll be reading the paragraphs on the screen. And I request our sister comrades here to help us read this. Sister Mayra, are you in a position to help us read?
Yeah.
So kindly read for us the paragraph starting with the mechanisms of sensation, and kindly tie it to the second paragraph that brings skepticism so that we discuss them as they are here.
The mechanism of sensation
Yes, please.
has sometimes been brandished in the face of philosophical materialism. This is, in fact, a species of skepticism. Sensation, it is said, is a primary avenue to knowledge. Mankind, it is alleged, has no road to knowledge save the highway of sensation. But sensation does not give us any direct knowledge of matter. Hence, there is no reason to suppose that there is any such thing as matter. I believe that this adumbrated skepticism turns in upon itself. It is not possible to use the physics of perception to impugn the reality and independence of the external world. The physics of perception itself presupposes and relies upon the reality and independence of the external world. It is only through some occult reasoning that physics can be used to locate the external world inside our minds.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much. Despite of your audio bringing some few issues, but thank you for trying and helping us read this. Brother DJ.
I couldn't hear it properly.
Yeah, there's a problem here.
Yeah, there was a problem. That's why I request Sister Marlin. Are you interested or ready to help us read the paragraph?
No, what page are we on?
Sister Marlin, we are in page 29, in fact. We are ending page 29, heading to page 30. But this paragraph is the last two paragraphs of page 29 of the new book. So if you have the old book, it might be probably page 28.
Okay. All right.
Yes, she read it brilliantly, but the reception is bad.
Mr. P. DJ Mr. P.
Yes, sir.
Are you able to reread for us the two paragraphs loudly enough?
Yes, I can. Can everybody hear me okay?
I can hear you very loud.
Okay. Okay, sorry.
Can you read what she read? Because I didn't hear a word.
No, I know she was having some network issues, but we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Mr. P. Can you read
probs. No probs. Okay, here we go. Right. The mechanism of sensation 2 has sometimes been brandished in the face of philosophical materialism. This is in fact a species of skepticism. Sensation, it is said, is our primary avenue to knowledge. Mankind, it is alleged, has no road to knowledge save the highway of sensation. But sensation does not give us any direct knowledge of matter. Hence, there is no reason to suppose that there is in any such thing as matter. I believe that this adumbrated skepticism turns in upon itself. It is not possible to use the physics of perception to impugn the reality and independence of the external world, for the physics of perception itself presupposes and relies upon the reality and independence of the external world. It is only through some occult reasoning that physics can be used to locate the external world inside our mind.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you very much. So, comrades, that's the paragraph for our discussion. If you are willing to come forward to share your thinking, feel free to raise your hand, but I'll be going through our membership list to call on your name and ask you if you are able to share something in regards to that paragraph, your understanding in regards to that paragraph. Let me start with Brother Coco.
Good evening, members.
Good evening, comrade.
Good evening.
Yeah. Again, Osagyefo here uses sensation to counteract or to demonstrate what those against philosophical materialism will be saying. They will be saying there's no matter in sensation. There is no such thing. And I mean, philosophical materialism breaks down in certain aspects, and one of them is that of the sensation. There is skepticism around. So there are ways, or there are lots and lots of opponents who will say philosophical materialism doesn't hold. But if you think about this again carefully, physics is involved in the sensation happening. The sensation happens, you will get a stimuli or stimulus in one part of the body and feel it somewhere else. And because the body moves messages around, it will go to the brain and then end up wherever the danger is material they involved, which is earth, the earth which has been given us to cover us, our spirits. Our bodies is made up of the carbon, which is earth. So again, what I'm seeing here is it doesn't break. It's just, again, another demonstration of how important materialism is. It's all there, it's clear, but he is trying to preempt those who are going to say, no, materialism doesn't stand. There are lots and lots of times where it breaks down. All right.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Brother Coco. Thank you very much for that. Let me go to Sister Shola. Sister Shola.
I'll pass it.
Thank you. Noted. Let me go to Brother Joseph. Brother Joseph, elder from Grenada.
Well, yeah, I said I'll pass for now. I'm having a little problem with my eyes, so I'll pass for now.
Okay, thank you. Anybody want to come in? Oh, I'm seeing our hand is up. Let me check. Jules, Comrade Jules, kindly come in.
Yes, thank you. I thank the person that share the books, the e-books for Consciencism.
Welcome.
I try to read the first part. What I'm seeing that Osagyefo is trying to explain how the continent was shared and how this Berlin Congress is trying to affect us till now as Francophone, Anglophone, and so on and so forth, Lusophone. What we have experienced now, I think from about 20 years, we in West Africa, we are trying to forget the borders, the political borders, and we are following the chiefry, the traditional rulers. For in West Africa, we belong to philosophy that is called the Yoruba land. The Yoruba land is from Nigeria, Cameroon, west of Ghana, and so on and so forth. So if you are Yoruba, so you belong to the Yoruba people of this West Africa area. I think it can be the same for the Hausa land, or Akan land, and so forth and so forth. So the chiefry are still alive. So we need to connect with the chiefry, so that we can share the prosperity together. And that can be the same for Central Africa and South Africa, East Africa, and for the whole Africa. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Good, thank you. But do you have any other contribution in regards to the paragraph read? For now?
Philosophy matter is something that is not material. It's not practice. I want to come from idea to the practice to change something in our all-day living. Thank you.
Okay, what do you mean?
Can I come in there? So what Brother Jules has shared is very interesting, because what he has shared, you can see it as the source of Consciencism itself. Because Nkrumah himself, unlike other African leaders of the time, was born in a village. He grew up in a village. His father was a goldsmith, and his mother brought him up. And it is from the milieu of the village that Consciencism emerges. And that is why Nkrumah was different from the other leaders who purportedly were fighting for our independence. So to cut a long story short, what Brother Jules is sharing, if you like, is the source of our philosophy, in the sense that Consciencism is an African philosophy. It emerges from the soil of Africa. And that is a very interesting point. Then he says that he wants to solve problems. And that's precisely the point. The whole point of what we are reading, and we'll read up to chapter 5, is that we want three things in Africa. What are they? Our total liberation, our total unification, and our total development, so that the resources of Africa will be used for Africans, so that the highest law, which is that the welfare of the people, the supreme law, is that the welfare of the people is the supreme law. And that law will then emerge, so that the resources of Africa will be used for the welfare of the African people, which is not the case at the moment. At the case of the moment, as you know, it is the liberals, conservatives, and their imperialists masters that are stealing our resources for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me go to Sister Ida. Sister Ida, what's your
Brother Pigeon, can I remind you that you need to go through your list?
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, you need to go through the list and ask everyone to share their thinking. It's very important.
That's what I'm doing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the reminder. Sister Ida?
I think I have to ask first what one word means. The adumbrated. Adumbrated.
It means outline.
Oh, okay.
That's what it means.
Okay.
Something in outline.
Okay. Then I would say that this is species of scepticism. I know the word, but I'm pronouncing
Scepticism. Skepticism.
Skepticism. So people
Replace the
being
C for a K.
okay, people being skeptic. Isn't it skepticism? Skepticism.
That's what I said. Skepticism.
Okay,
Replace the C
skepticism.
for a K.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you. So people being skeptic about what is said, and I think we had an example of a lot of this just before we came to reading this in the group chat. Though I didn't understand it all, but I felt that it had something to do with all of this, and there was a lot of skepticism, and I think that this bit tells us that it's something to do with the mind, that it's not necessary. That people who are I'm not sure about this. People who are skeptical. Skeptic. Yes, I believe that the abundant skepticism turns in upon itself, and it's not possible to use the physics of perception to impinge the reality. So I think that it is saying that physics doesn't necessarily come into the ideas, because it can't necessarily be it can't necessarily be shown independently. Or maybe I've got that bit wrong, but it can't be shown until that physics can be used to locate the external world inside our minds. But I think it couldn't be shown. Maybe it's skepticism that can't be shown to. I have a feeling that if I don't look at what's written down, I think what I sort of read was that a lot of it is something to do with our minds, but our minds can't necessarily. There's a difference between reality and what is happening in the mind. Somewhere along the line, I've got some of this, but I'm not too sure. I think I'll stop and leave somebody else to make it clearer, please.
Thank you for that, Sister.
I'm sorry if I've confused everybody, but
No.
somewhere along the line.
Don't worry. Thank you for sharing your thinking, Sister Ida. As we say, you're free to share your thinking, and you're here to build each other to actually improve on our own understanding and be conscious enough. So thank you, Sister Ida, for that. Of course, people will be giving their thinking, then maybe you can be able to build up on something. But thank you for that. Let me go to Sister Mayra.
I'll pass.
You'll pass very fast. Sorry. Okay, Sister. Let me go to other sister, Sister Mary X or Mary or Mary. I'm not sure. X. Sister Mary or Mary X, please. Okay.
Sister Marie X, brother.
Yes, Marie X.
Yeah, it's Marie X, not Mary. Mary is M-A-R-Y. It's Marie.
Yeah, doesn't say Marie X or whatever. Mary X, but I'm sure of Marie X or Mary X, please. Marie?
Yes, sir.
Kindly you're thinking.
Yeah. All right. Hold on. Sorry, sirs. What were you saying, Nobles?
Now, I was requesting you if you can be in a position to share what you understand from the two paragraphs that have been read. The paragraph
to share her thinking, Pigeon.
Yes,
right.
And share her thinking.
I think. Thank you.
Right. Okay. I put a comment at the initial phase of the, when your entree into the discussion, but I'm just listening, right? Because it's just very deep. So I'm processing the information. Yeah. And believe it or not, okay, and you guys, please don't laugh at me. I was actually cooking, yeah, and listening at the same time. So perhaps later on I'll pick up, but I am listening. I'm just processing the information.
Thank you for that. At least thank you for sharing your two assignments. trying to cook and also listen to us. We appreciate that.
Exactly. I've just come off a project, so like I'm still like, you know, realigning as well. So I'll pick up later.
Thank you
But
very
I'll
much.
be listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Comrade Maham Naftali. Comrade
Good
Naftali.
evening, comrade.
Good evening, comrade.
Yeah, I've been away from the meeting for quite some time. I'm really trying to get down to the point, understand them well, and give a feedback. Because basically at this point, I'm really trying to get them physically very easy. But I understand one has to read and correlate it with
Okay. Your voice or your audio is not stable.
Hello?
Yes, you're now better.
You getting me well?
Yes, not that well.
I'm saying been away from the meeting for quite some time.
Okay.
I'm trying to read through and understand so that I can really correlate it well as according to Nguruma.
Okay, thank you for that. And thank you for your time as well. And just let me go to Comrade Michael. You are on transit. I don't know if you're now in a position to speak, Michael X.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I don't know if you can hear background noise. Is it noisy? Or would I be able to make sense?
No, it's cool. It's
You're
okay.
fine, brother. You're fine. You're fine.
Okay, excellent.
I can hear. I particularly was interested in what you had to say about the maths thing.
I mean, like yourself, I'm processing a lot of things being fed, and you know what comes to, you know, as I'm thinking, what I was going to say is, in our universe, there's order, right, and there's universal laws that it obeys, and if we take our planet, there's order in our planet. The way it moves around the sun, travels around the sun at a terrific speed that we don't even realize that our planet's traveling over 1,000 miles an hour, and we're not even aware, right? Because there's order that allows us to exist without even knowing. Like if we was in a car going at 1,000 miles an hour, we would know it, right? Even at 100 miles an hour, anyone been in a car at 100 miles an hour, they know they're in these cars traveling. We're on a planet that's traveling over 1,000 miles an hour as it makes its way around the sun. So our world and our universe is material, it is a substance. You know, we're material, we're made up of this, which is matter, basically. We, as a people, are being put to sleep, right? Because when they built the pyramids, those pyramids are not tombs. They've already proven that they're to do something. The coalition of the stars, they were able to map the universe to build those pyramids. So as a people, we've been put to sleep, so another man could rule, right, whilst we're asleep. And as we begin to wake up in this 21st century, because their time to rule has only been, they've given a time to rule. But if you look at what we was able to do, right, as a people, right, you know, so I was having a discussion today. In America, Black people, after 270 odd years of slavery, came out of slavery. The most horrendous treatment any human has ever suffered. They were denied education. They lost their language, their culture, their religion. They lost everything that made them into a human being. But in a matter of how many years, they created their own civilizations in America, like the Black Wall Streets, that was so successful. Right? Where did they get that knowledge from? Right? The slave master did not share his knowledge with them. So it was something in them, somehow in them, that they realized that unity, they can work together, and they created several Wall Streets. Right? It's just that the Caucasians destroyed them, burnt them down, right? Ruined them. They had their own banking systems, hospitals. The only thing they didn't know was who they were dealing with, and they didn't create an army. So, and forget all the inventions that came from us, from what we, so there is a deep, and it would go very deep, that there is a code in our DNA that we know, right? We know we've been able to create, from the, they call it the God code, right? Where the creators download into us everything that we need, right? And so, we have to, we have to go deep into ourselves to find our purpose, our goal, and that's why I'm putting us in the picture, because we can't talk about things if we don't look at ourselves. We're the great, the computer of our mind will be the size of probably America if it was to be a computer. We've got the greatest functioning apparatus in the human being, right? That works precisely if it's healthy. The lungs can't say, I'm going to have a day off. Our heart beats, I'm going to have a tea break. Everything has to work. So I want to bring it back to us. So, for me, all I can think of is us, right? Because the universe and matter don't exist, but we don't exist, right? And we exist for a purpose, a reason. We've been on this planet for trillions of years, right? Trillions of years, right? We've just been put to sleep. So, yeah, that's what comes to mind, and it's a great discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that.
I'd like to come in, please.
Yeah, please come in.
Okay, so Michael X made reference. I finished cooking now, so I won't burn down the house. So Michael X was talking about something deep inside of us, right? That sort of is now awakening, and that got us to the point where we built our own Wall Streets, which they're boasting about in terms of it being theirs, yeah, and all the inventions, etc. And you mentioned atoms earlier on, and I just had this vision, right? Could we akin that thing, that DNA, that thing rising, etc., as atoms? Because a few years ago, I started saying to our people, you've got to join the dots. We must join the dots, etc. I just wanted, a tag on that. Someone help me with it, please.
Thank you. Let me check. Sister Shola, brother, coming out that, if you are able to come back to that. Sister Shola?
Yeah, so I just want to, I kind of had to read the passage a little bit more. So my thinking is that it's saying that as human beings, we always place priority on what we can see, touch, feel, the physical sensations that we have. But I think what it's saying is that the external world needs much more than what we can see, feel, touch, we need to have, I guess, go outside of that to understand what the external world holds. And that is the only way we can begin to make progress. So that's what I wanted to add to that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's get to, I'll come back to, I hope, Brother Kwame, you know, the concern raised or the issue raised by Sister Marie. Let me get to Sister Pamela. Then we have three more comrades to go. So let me get to Sister Pamela, then Sister Tapua. So Sister Pamela?
Yes, hi, Brother Pidgin. Yeah, I'm just listening as usual. I hope that's okay.
You should be able to share something. We, of course, don't post, but we request.
Yeah, it's okay. But
Okay.
it's okay.
Thank
I mean,
you.
like we said, we are always to share our thinking. But if you want to listen, it's perfectly okay. Yeah.
Okay, I put something in the chat, just something
Yeah,
small.
I saw it. I saw it.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Sister Tapua, welcome to our class. What can you share in regards, what you are thinking in regards to the paragraph?
Thank you very much. I'm fascinated because I am coming from a background of psychology, and I'm thinking of when a child is born, they depend on sensation. I've always believed that to understand the world around them. I've also always believed that as Africans, we tend to depend more on our senses to navigate the world. We sing, we dance, we do a lot of other things that do not necessarily help us to understand or interpret what matter is. In other words, it's not top of our list to understand the composition of things, but we are more focused on how one feels, which I think is why we care more about everyone in our community in terms of how they feel, how they're faring. We're not necessarily looking at objects as matter or understanding the composition of them. I was also particularly fascinated by the second paragraph because it started to make me think of who I am. Because I was looking at the last sentence there, which says, it is only through some occult reasoning that physics can be used to locate the external world inside our mind. And for me, the expression external and inside our mind just made me think and wonder what it is that I understand about the world that is inside my mind. In other words, the world exists in the mind, or does it? And to what extent does the external world inside our minds match? Because the mind is private, and the world that exists inside each one of our minds is an interpretation of the external world that we sense and experience, which therefore means that as we are marching forward as Africans, do we feel the same? Do we have the same sensations about what we have gone through? Is this what helped us, for example, to come up with, to have a super ability to produce music, as happened in the different circumstances that we've been in? Because as an African, I've always been proud that we sing when we're happy, we sing when we're sad, we sing when we want to cry, we just sing. So I'm trying to digest all that, and I'm trying to put everything together to make sense. So that's where I am at the moment.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Brother Kwame?
Well, I'm very pleased we now have a psychologist in our midst. We have a physicist, now we have a psychologist. Now, this is very interesting because we had a psychologist before and she ran away because she didn't like the discussion around idealism. So she just decided to leave. By which I mean, she just didn't like the materialists discussion. Now, it's interesting you say what you say, that the things we do are more geared towards the idealists, if you like, the idealists, if you like, view of life. And that, I think you've hit the nail on the head, which is that, Sister Tapua, most Africans are brought up on idealism. We are brought up singing, going to church. There's even a saying, Akan. Akan is one of the major languages in Ghana. That says that upese kasatre niamia, kasatre inframa, which means literally, it's not my language by the way, but I understand it, which literally means if you want to speak to God, speak to the wind. That's what the literal meaning. So we've been brought up on spirits and their ideas, and even the notion of ancestors and so on are all to do with spirits and the fact that our ancestors can be reborn and so on and so forth. So, Sapua, you are right that is how the African is, if you like, socialized into the world. But then here is the thing. As Brother Carrington made clear earlier, if we want to transform Africa, we need to understand the laws of nature. And since we ourselves come from nature, that means we have to understand ourselves as well, which is the point you were making. So who am I? We are told that on the temples of ancient Egypt, it read, man, know thyself. That was written, that man, you should know yourself. So who are you? And we've read this question before, if you all recall. When you say, I am hungry, who is the I you are referring to? Is it your body? Is it your spirit? Is it your soul? I mean, is that question even coherent when you say that it is my mind? Because how can you have a mind without a body? How can you have a body without a spirit? So aren't we are talking about one entity and different aspects of the entity? And yet we talk as if they are different. That somehow some believe, as Paul and others have said, there is something called the inner man that somehow can exist by itself. In fact, some even believe this inner man can detach himself or herself from the human body and subsists, hence witchcraft and wizardry and also on. All these things we were brought up on. Yeah. But the question for us as Africans today, and by the way, let's not forget that the majority of Africans are not going to suddenly wake up tomorrow and be materialists. Let's all be clear. Yeah. So it won't take all of Africans to be materialists before we transform the continent. It only needs a few people to be materialists and to form the core leadership. So that takes us back to the introduction of the book, which is, are we liberals, conservatives, or progressives? Yeah, as leaders. Because the liberals and the conservatives are not interested. Somebody asked, how can they only think about themselves as individuals? Yes, because they only see themselves and their families. Conservatives only see themselves. Yeah, the whole world must revolve around them. If you are King Charles of England or of the United Kingdom, when you think about the country, you're thinking about yourself because you are the monarch. Everything starts and ends with you because you are the all-powerful. So nobody else exists. So let's get that clear. So yes, they see themselves as individuals. Sometimes, or if they go beyond themselves, their immediate family. Nobody else matters. And the liberals, they think in terms of groups, whether their own tribe or nation, their own party, where they come from. So when they do politics, they're only interested in the minority, whereas it's the progressives who are interested in everybody, including the liberals and the conservatives. So who are you? So in the paragraph, so thank you, Sister Tapua, for raising the question. I hope you continue to join us when we come to the psychology. You can explain more to us, because the Philosophy Club of Nkrumah had in it intellectuals like Dr. Abraham, Eric Heyman, and these were intellectuals, who were with Nkrumah himself, who was an intellectual, in the progressive sense, and they were doing exactly what we are doing now. So so the paragraph we read on the mechanism of sensation, and I think those of you here who are biologists can explain to us the mechanism of sensation, which is that the reason you see is because the sun in the daytime, or the lamp, whether electrical or non-electrical lamp, in the night gives out light rays, and those rays strike objects, and those objects through your pupil enter your eyes, go to the back of your eye, where they are projected as in a camera on a screen on the back of your head, and then your eye, and then your brain interprets that and says, you are seeing Brother Coco, you are seeing Sister Shola, and so on and so forth, or you are reading his or his name or her name. So that is how the mechanism of sight works. Then we have the mechanism of touch, of smell, and so on and so forth. These are all physical mechanisms. And the point here is that, and the point this paragraph is making is that when it comes to the knowledge of the universe, we can say that, how do I know that I know? Well, I know because I know, in the sense that I can see it. And because I can see it, then I know that it is there. Because I can see that 1 + 1 is 2, yeah, because I can see it, that 1 + 1 is 2, it must be 1 + 1 must be 2. So I'm using the word see here in the sense of understanding, not understanding as in standing under something, but understanding as in our language, the African language, which means you are hearing. So the 1 + 1 is talking to you. It is sending, the numbers are sending, if you like, vibrations to you, and you are interpreting that vibration. That is how in the languages of Ghana, I don't know about other countries, but I'm sure we are all the same. Literally, we say, I can hear it. In English, I understand, but we say, inushishin, hello, or inushishin, that's Ghana, or mati asye, that's Akan. And then ever we say, masa agom. Now, all this means that I am hearing, I am hearing the thing. What is that thing that you are hearing? How will we ever know the thing? Because all we are getting is what our brain is interpreting for us. So what is the conclusion? So the conclusion is that your mind cannot say that matter doesn't exist. That's basically what that paragraph is saying. Your mind cannot say that matter exists or doesn't exist, because your mind cannot know matter in terms of matter as matter. And we know that because there's something called dark matter, and we still don't know what it is. So at the end of the day, we cannot know what matter really is using the mind. And after all, we know that the universe was here before we arrived. So it is not true. And this is where the second paragraph comes in, the skepticism. And so it is not true to say that the mind, the universe is in your mind, because the universe existed before you arrived. Even you, even we here, our parents were here before we came. Yeah? So we cannot say that the universe is in our mind. How can our parents be in our mind? You came out of your parents. So how can you say that your parent is in you, or the parent is in your mind? And so did their parents, and their parents before them. And if you go as far back as the Bible says, Adam and Eve, or the first woman, Lucy, in science, the fact is that, the universe was there before whoever arrived first arrived. So you cannot say that the universe is in the mind. And that is the last sentence. So
Brother
the reality, sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, isn't this that a form of solipsism?
Yes, in fact, that is the Descartian thinking. I think, therefore I am. That is what this is kind of referring to. You know, you can think what you like. It doesn't mean that the universe is in your mind. You can think whatever you like. It doesn't mean that what you are thinking, as Sister Tepo has reminded us, you just have a picture of the external world. So don't think that what you are seeing is therefore the reality. And so it comes back to the second paragraph. The reality and the independence of the external world. You understand? In other words, our universe is real and our universe is independent of us. You understand? And now here is the thing. How can you, using your mind, see things? So through your mind, you are seeing something. By your mind, I mean through what your mind says, through your eyes, you are seeing me. Yeah? And yet then you arrive at the conclusion that I am inside your mind. How is that possible? When your own mind is part of your body and your body is part of the material universe. I mean, how is that possible? And that is what idealists want us to believe. And so the reality and the independence of the external world is that is what it is. It is independent of us. In other words, whether we are here or not as the human race, and there's only one human race, white, black, Chinese, Asian, Indian, we are all one race. You know, whether we are here or weren't here, whether we live tomorrow, you know, the dinosaurs lived on this planet of ours for 160 million years. Someone will say, well, that's a long time. Yeah, it's a long time. But they still went. They still disappeared. They disappeared. But the planet is still here. The universe is still here. So if we are on this planet for 200 million years or 300 million years, however million years, and we also go, does it mean the universe will disappear? No, it won't disappear. So the universe itself is the planet, even the planet, not just the universe, but the planet on which we are, is independent of us. And that is what the second paragraph is telling us. So it is drawing again to our attention, if you want to apply it to the African situation, you know, that at the end of the day, we must understand that Africa is real, and Africa as a continent, although we are part of it, is independent of us, and we can understand it. We can scientifically understand Africa and do what we need to do in order to redeem our continent, because the redemption of our continent is the redemption of the human beings. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Chair, for that. Thank you very much. So then we go to Brother Joseph, Sister Marie, but I also have some other people who haven't shared their thinking, like Brother Pablo, who is originated here by the name George. He was the first person to be here in the Zoom chat. I'll give him some time also to contribute. But let's start with Brother Joseph.
Yeah, it's interesting the last few contributions because I was trying to figure out what could I say in response to the passage. And but in terms of the word occult is used, to me it's synonymous to superstition. But I want to challenge Brother Kwame in terms of that whether the universe is independent of us or our mind, or it is independent of our mind and not independent, because if we get part, there's a, what you might say, a symbiosis. I mean, we are part of the the universe.
Yes, brother. Yeah, but brother Joseph, that is because we are here. That's why we are saying that. Suppose we weren't here.
Okay.
Where's the symbiosis if we weren't here? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, but I would say, based on what the sister, I think from Zimbabwe said, the psychologist, I was thinking that one of the challenges we face as human beings is that when a child comes in the world, can we say the child is unaware or the child is not knowledgeable about itself or the universe? And is it not only when we begin to teach or begin to socialize the child begins to make a like distinction between itself and the rest of its surrounding or her surrounding. Isn't maybe that where the challenge is that we need to see, for instance, and even in the scripture, the Christian scripture said, unless you become like a child, you cannot enter into the kingdom. Is that say where you undo?
Yeah, but I just said we try, but it's not always
Yeah,
successful.
no.
Yeah, you
No,
try,
I'm saying,
you try and teach a
no.
child. For example, let me give an example. You try and teach a child. So if a child is born, say a baby is born, and the baby's mother, for example, is wicked to the baby, and the baby begins to see the world as wicked, and then you try to teach the child that the world is not wicked, and the child sometimes doesn't understand because the child's first experience was this hostility towards him or her. Or, for example, if the child is growing up in a home where the father comes home, is drunk, beats up his mother or her mother, and so that's what that child sees. That child perceives marriage as a hostile environment, and so on. So we try, but it's not always successful.
Yeah, but I hear you, but I'm even taking a different angle. For instance, before a parent go to a child and say to him, the child might be lost into admiration of, say, a butterfly. He may spend hours intensely in tune with the butterfly. But he doesn't know the name butterfly until his father comes and say, oh, you're looking at a butterfly. And now he has to remember what he was looking at is a butterfly. So there's a dichotomy because up until that time, but he's not looking at an aspect of himself before he was told you were looking at a butterfly. And I think these are some of the way we could understand how the dichotomy, the thing about whether the world is external to us and all that kind of thing, because in the end, I think there's only one reality, that's life. So,
But if you ask the question, Brother Joseph, if the question you are asking is the universe independent of us? The answer is yes.
I wasn't asking that question. I was just challenging.
I have a question to you. Okay, Kelly, permit me to chat this again. Brother Joseph, what's your question, please?
No, I was just raised as a prelude to what I was going to say, that he said about that we are, I'm not challenging him, and I'm just saying that are we really independent from, or the universe independent from us, or mind? Is it because since matter does the minding, are we?
Yeah, but the mind, Brother Joseph, the mind is part of the body.
Yes, I know. What I'm saying is that sometimes how we state something, it may convey another understanding. So this is what I'm trying to say. But I think we are in the same level. But just to finish off my point is that maybe we could consider how a child begins to see the world because of the indoctrination of the parents or the people around it, because before it had a judgment on the world, it saw the world as just what it is, without any labeling and that kind of thing. And maybe from the beginning of labeling, oh, this is your brother, this is your sister, and so on. Well, prior to that, the child, based on some thinking, is that the child saw everything as part of itself. And maybe we need to arrive back at that where we see everything as part of ourselves and everything is
But
part
then,
of us.
Brother Joseph, what you are saying goes to the heart of what civilization means. That which makes us human civilized is language. It's our ability to use language. The reason the foxes and the cows cannot have what we have is that they don't have language. So if we take away what you are saying, then we'll become like cows. Cows and dogs.
I'm not saying take it away. I'm just saying our initial experience. I'm saying that in the context of how we've been taught that we are different. Like, oh, even African black people would still say, I'm not black, I'm not African, and that kind of thing like that, because
Of course.
we were taught that.
Language has been misused. That's all you are. Language has been used. How does a child become a racist?
Yeah, but this is what, this is the point. This is part of what I'm saying, you know. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Of course, sometimes back, there was where we came across where Nkrumah say these are logical errors. They're logical, they're logical error, other statements of logical error, you see. But let me get to Sister Marie.
Kindly allow me to raise a point.
Yes, who is this?
Yeah, Brother Kwame has raised something which personally I stand to differ.
Yes. Oh, this
I don't believe we separate from the universe.
This is Brother Natali.
This Maha speaking.
Okay.
I don't believe that there's any separation between us and the universe. We part and parcel of the universe.
Hold on. Brother Maha, you're using the word separation. Yes. I didn't say that. The word we are using is reality and independence. That's a different thing.
But can we proceed?
Yeah, I never said that we are separate from the universe, because you see, the reason we can't be separate is that even we ourselves are part of the universe. Our body is part of matter, so we can't be separate. The question is the universe independent of us? That is the question.
No, it is not.
It is. That's the point.
Now, how can you, for example, brother Maha, just hold on there as you are thinking, and we allow you to do this. Now, can you explain how we are not independent of the universe?
We are part and parcel of the universe, right from creation.
That's true.
Our thoughts, thoughts are not ours entirely. Our thoughts are universally in accordance with the universe.
That's true. But the question is, if we die today, do the universe die with us?
No.
Yes, it dies to us.
No, but does it die with us?
You see, when you die today, you've died as an individual.
The universe
but
continues.
You still
the universe continues.
Yes, but the universe dies to us.
No,
in other words, once we're dead, the universe is not there.
No, yes,
we
but
have lost the means of understanding it.
That's correct. But the answer is, even if it's dead to us, is it dead to those who are not dead? To those who are still alive? Yes, you have died.
How do we know when we're dead?
So does it mean that the fact that your parents were dead sometimes back, they don't believe that we still exist in this universe? So the universe died with them, so there's no universe anymore to them? Or they don't believe that there's universe where we as the child or grandchildren stay? That's basically what you're trying to perceive, that because our ancestor died, then to them is that when they died, there's no universe. That was the end of the universe, and us, we don't exist. Or us, we don't in this universe, because the universe died with them. And the aspect is, it's very clear that we are, yes, part of the universe, but the universe is independent with us. So if we die, it doesn't mean the universe dies.
Yeah. It's independent of us.
Yes.
So if all our ancestors are gone, whatever they believed, and Sister Tapua, you are asking, yes, but they cannot be conscious of the universe. Yes, that is true. Although we can't really prove it. Maybe they are somewhere and they are conscious of it. We don't know. We are just speculating. But assuming even that is the case, the question is, the universe is still here, independently existing.
I'm worried about the word independently. Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, I was just wanting to say, I'm worried about the word independently existing. Because everything within the universe changes form at some point. Things move on. So as human beings, my parents were here and I'm now in their place. My children will be in their place. So we're still continuing to be part of the universe. But there's a movement that's going on here.
Yes, but the cup you are seeing is independent of you, isn't it? If you are seeing a
Beg
cup,
your pardon?
if you are seeing or a plate or me, I'm independent of you, am I not?
How do I know?
Now, thank you. Let me get to this question. A child comes from a mother. The mother gives birth to a child. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, if the mother dies, do the child die? Or if a child dies, for example, the child came from the mother. Let's say we come from the universe. We come from the universe. Now, we are like the child. If the child dies, do the mother die?
I think you've brought in something that I've been thinking about for a while. The things that we've begun to know about DNA. In other words, I am a total sum of the people that I've descended from. Have they died?
But then you see, you are now going into something we discussed earlier,
I'd say no.
which is that the theory of relativity has now unified space and time. And so in terms of the DNA you've just mentioned, it means that the past is with us as we are here.
Yes.
And the future is also with us.
Yes.
The question that we are dealing with here, let's put it in context. The question we are dealing with here is the difference between idealism and materialism. That is what we are dealing with here. And the idealist's argument is that the universe is inside their mind. And the materialist position is that cannot be, because their body is part of the material universe. So that if your body is part of the material universe and your mind emerges from the functions of your nervous system and your brain, then the universe cannot be inside your mind. That is what this is getting at. So I want to clarify that context. You see, so idealists, the idealist position that to the extent that they think that they are the only person that exists, that's what solipsism is. That they even think the only person who exists is me. In the same way as some religious people will think that before, for example, God made man, only God existed in the universe, if you like. In the beginning, as Genesis 1:1 would say, in the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. And the earth was without form and void. So there was nothing. There was without form, void. But then God was there, the only person that existed. Now, that is an extreme form of solipsism, the idea that one can exist in spite of everything else. So what this paragraph is getting at, and I like the philosophical argument, but the point, let's not go beyond what this point is saying, which is that the mind, the universe is not in your mind. Okay, that is what this is saying. The universe is independent of you. It is not in your mind. That is all this paragraph is getting at. Because those who think that the world is in their mind, then that is how we have got all this racism. People want to kill us. If we are not Israelites or Jewish, then we should be mown down. We should be destroyed through bombs because we don't exist in that world. Does that make sense? Because the world is in your mind. So anybody not in your mind doesn't exist. So you become racists, you become nasty towards other people, and so on and so forth. So I just want to make clear that is the context of what we are discussing.
What is in your mind then?
Thank you.
The universe. The idealists believe that the universe is inside.
No, I'm asking you what is in the mind then? Because something is in the mind. Reflection. What is it? Something is in it.
Patrick, let's not go there.
No, seriously. I mean, I agree with you, but just an explanation. What's in the mind then?
There are many I mean, we have a psychologist here that can tell us, a psychologist that can tell us there are different or various versions of what is in the mind. There are those who believe that children are born like a clean slate. They have no knowledge. Everything they learn is when they are in this world, and then they get to. So to educate a child means it's like a blank slate. You then, or an empty bottle, you just fill it in. There are those who believe that. There are those who believe that the child comes already filled. And in the discussion we've had here, you've heard some of that in the way people have spoken. Some said the child is aware. Some said, well, the child already knows before, they come into the world. And then some people have said, well, the child is socialized by the parents, the immediate society, and then by the community and the society as large, and so on.
Brother Kwame.
So, yeah.
Yeah, permit me to take Sister Marie hand was up, and people have been jumping in and out. So please, Sister Marie, apologies for that. Can you share your thinking? But I'll also go to Brother George, who was here since then. Then also, there's one person who hasn't spoken, Sister Marie, I think so. So, Sister Marie?
Okay, so very quickly, I think someone brought it up just a while ago, and it was this concept of matter and the mind, etc. Right? Who told us to call these things what we are calling them? Who defined them?
Our language.
Whose thoughts are we using? Whose definition? Is it Afrocentric in terms of being ours, coming from us? Or is it Afrophobic in terms of trying to keep us in our place? Yeah? Afrophobia is the new word for racism. Yeah?
Yeah.
Someone please help.
The answer to your question is very simple. Philosophy in retrospect that we are reading is precisely that. It is philosophy as we have inherited it. Now, there's no such thing as Western philosophy. All Western philosophy is rehashed African philosophy. So the words we are using are ours. We may be using the English language. It doesn't always adequately express what we want. But I don't understand Brother Pidgin's language. He doesn't understand my language. And you don't understand the language of both of us. So what we have is English, and we'll make use of the English we have. But you are right to raise that question. But the answer is that the philosophy of idealism and materialism all have their root in the African perspective of the universe. That is where it all came from the Africans.
Okay. Thanks for that. And who wrote the books?
Which one? The one we're reading, Nkrumah wrote it.
Yeah. The ones that we read from.
The one from mathematics.
Develop
The one in mathematics that the one from which all mathematics came was written by a mathematician called Euclid. Euclid was an African.
Okay. Let me get to, we have 12 minutes remaining. Let me not lock anybody out. So let me get to DJ Mr. P. I forgot that he only read the paragraph but didn't share his thinking. DJ Mr. P.
I asked you to pass. That's what he said at the time.
Oh, okay. But let me
That was last week I said pass.
No, this week. Well, I was listening to you. You said pass.
Okay.
I'm listening, brother.
Come in.
Thank you, my brothers. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this is it's a very two very short paragraphs, but my goodness, they're very deep and interesting, and they've sparked a huge debate this evening, which is great. I'm loving the debate. I'm listening to what's being said, and I'm hearing so many different things. And what comes up for me, I mean, I'm still actually digesting the two paragraphs, and there's a lot in there. There is a lot in there, but there are bits that I've picked out. And what I will say is, I think that it's talking about, a part of it is talking about perception. And perception doesn't necessarily mean reality. And what I mean by that is, just because you think something, it doesn't mean it's true. So we've got, when it comes to knowledge, knowledge is a very interesting thing, because we've got, I think, 4 states of knowledge. There's what you know. So for example, we all know that we are on this Zoom call right now. There's what you don't know. And that is, if somebody was to ask me to fly a plane, I'd probably say, hell no, I don't know how to fly a plane. Then there's the state that you don't actually know that you don't know, which is commonly known as our blind spots. So there are things that we don't even realize that we didn't know about certain things. For example, you didn't know that you don't know about, or I didn't know that I didn't know before coming on these Zooms. I didn't know that I didn't know about consciencism. I didn't even know that, because I didn't know it existed. Now I know it exists and I'm learning about it. And then there's stuff out there that you don't know, that you don't know, that you don't know. So perception is really, really important, because what you think isn't necessarily correct or true. And that's what I've picked up out of these 2 passages. Also, that final line, when I first read it, when I actually read it out, I'm like, rah, that's a bit deep. Talking about the occult reasoning that physics can be used to locate the external world inside our mind. I'm like, wow, that's heavy. And I've read these 2 paragraphs quite a few times tonight, because I'm still trying to digest it. But that's what I've picked up so far from tonight, and hearing the additional submissions have actually shone a certain amount of light on things as well, and made it all that much more interesting to understand. So as Michael X said, and also we are independent from the universe. I didn't understand it at first, but brother Kwame broke it down, and I thought, actually, yeah, and also Pigmin, because when I am not my feelings, I am not my family, I'm part of my family. I am not my brothers, I am not my sisters, I am me, right? So I am actually independent from my siblings. And Pigmin gave a great example. If one of my siblings die, does that mean I die as well? No, I'm independent from them. So I get that, right? And a sister, I think it was a psychologist, said something, and I wanted to touch on that as well. We are not the same as Caucasians and the other species, if you like, of human being. I don't see us as the same. We're 9 series. Our DNA is different. We are 9 series DNA, okay? So we are actually, and I'm not speaking from a place of superiority, I'm speaking from a place of fact. So we are actually superior to the other races. Now, as Michael X said,
just say different.
All right, we are different. Sorry,
we are
sorry.
different,
All right,
yeah.
I'll say that. We are different. We are different. We look different. We sound different, play different, hear different, see different. Everything's different about who we are and what we do and how we do things. And we are sensory people. All of us are sensory, primarily for survival. That's why we've got our senses. It's for survival. But we, especially as 9 series DNA folk, are very sensory. It's in our nature, but I think our upbringing, as you may have alluded to earlier on, Kwame, our upbringing is such that most Africans were raised with religion. So
Okay.
we are very sensory, and I believe that we are able to tap into a higher plane, the universe, the spirit world, whatever you want to call it, with our 9 series. We are more adept at doing that. Pineal gland, etc. That's another chapter. But we don't, as we are so sensory, we take it to the other side. We go the wrong way, and instead of applying our senses to make understanding of why we are the way we are, which I think is really important, because as Pan-Africanists, before we can unite, we need to not only understand ourselves, I believe that we need to understand the universe in which we exist. So I think that consciencism is really important, because it gives us that grounding, that understanding about materialism and about the universe. And we first need to understand where we are, and then we also need to understand who we are and where we fit in. And then then I think we'll be able to get to how we can unify Africans and Africa itself. And that's what I got from those 2 passages.
Thank you. Before I end, it's 5 minutes. Sister Marlene hasn't spoken. I don't know if she did speak. Sister Marlene, do you have something to share with us? You're thinking?
She also passed, by the way.
Sorry, I wasn't able to listen into everything, but the little I got was, if your physical, the physical in our mind with the light shining is what able to make us be able to express ourselves and think. So in other words, if there's no light to guide us, we lose all aspect of going in the right direction. And I would say that has to do with the lacking of leadership that has been taken away from us to make us be the success we would be. Thank you.
Thank you. Before, I still also have one person. Brother Patrick.
Yeah.
Can you share with us your thinking or anything else you want to share with us?
Too many. So I will leave it for now.
Yeah, it's okay, Brother Patrick. Your network. I can't hear you, Brother Patrick. Can you come up again?
He says he has too many to share.
Yeah, Patrick, your signal's bad, man.
His signal is still disturbing. I don't know how to help him.
You're in the matrix, man. You're in the matrix.
Okay. What I'll do is, Brother Patrick, maybe get somebody to help you work on your signal. Then probably in the next class you start by sharing with us too many as we connect the previous paragraph.
There's no one to help him. There's no one to help him do his signal. So leave him alone.
Okay. Okay. Comrade.
You guys are funny, man. You're making me laugh tonight, man. You're funny.
1 minute.
Very mischievous.
Only 1 minute. Comrade Tapua. Only 1 minute. You have 2 minutes to go. Only 1 minute to Comrade Tapua,
Yes.
sister.
Okay, right. What I'm going back to Africans depending more on senses. And I'm just wondering whether that has been exacerbated by our historical experience from where we were to where we
The
are
answer
now.
is yes. The answer is yes.
And
yes.
then secondly,
Because in
Yeah,
fact,
I agree.
Sister Tapua, before you go to the next point, the second point, I was going to mention that let's remember that the way we brought up is not. See, the fact that we are sensitive to the universe differently to others, that does not mean that that is why we are all idealists. We are all idealists because of the way we're socialized. Let's get that clear. Thank you. Yes, carry on.
And then the reason why I think we need to bear in mind how history influences which philosophy we go with is because I've always been fascinated by how, who was it that watched the kettle boiling and came up with some invention? And in my mind, I say to myself, who's this person who can sit and look at something? It means their stomach is full. So what's happening to us is, because we're focused on bread and butter issues, we cannot be thinking of higher order things. And the reason why all of us are
Absolutely.
here
Absolutely,
is because our
sister.
stomachs are full.
They said we
Correct.
couldn't do it.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
I agree.
Our
I agree.
stomachs are full. That's why we can talk the way we're talking.
Thank you. Thank you for that. We are ending of our time. So
Brother
please.
Pigeon, is your stomach full?
Oh, please. Brother Carrington, you'll close for us our class today. So please, Brother
Hey, Kwame, are you on the laughing gas tonight or what, man? What's wrong with you?
You see the way Brother Pigeon has sidelined me? He's asked Brother Carrington to finish everything.
I'll meet every one of you. I'll meet everybody. Brother Carrington, kindly end it for us, the class. I know you haven't shared your thinking, but in a minute, please, because we are past our time. Brother Carrington.
No. Just to say that that is actually the aim of all this work. That is why it is important to develop Africa. 1 billion young people are coming to the continent between now and 2050. Imagine if we gave these people a comfortable life, all these people a comfortable life, for them to start to think, to philosophize, and to invent and to create. Imagine what that would do. Afrobeats is just a sign of what can be done if we just find enough for our people. So that is a very, very good point. Yes. And funny. Yes.
So thank you very much. So we have to work on the stomach of our people in order for them to create time to think like we do now. So that's why the welfare of our people is very paramount. Therefore, thank you very much for joining us. Tomorrow we will, of course, on Saturday, we are okay. Just to let you know, we are having 2 paragraphs to go. This is the next paragraph for us, which will end up this one chapter. This paragraph on my screen. This is the paragraph that will end this chapter 1 as we go to chapter 2. On Saturday, we are discussing from 7 p.m. GMT. We'll be discussing about the Brother Kwame, can you give it the right? You give it the right tune. What will we be discussing?
Sister Ida maybe can help us. The sheer wickedness and vindictiveness of the French system. So the French had a document that they got African countries to sign, except Guinea, which was the pact for the continuation of colonialism. And we want to discuss whether that demonstrates the sheer wickedness and vindictiveness of the French. Because when Guinea refused to sign, they destroyed all the infrastructure in Guinea, which is why Ghana had to give Guinea 10 million pounds sterling at the time to refix all those things. So that is what we want to discuss.
I'm ready for them on Saturday. I'm ready for them.
Okay, so thank you very much for that, sister. If there's anybody who doesn't have my contact or is not in part of our WhatsApp group, where you got the link in the WhatsApp, whatever WhatsApp group I shared it, kindly please just text me through that number. I'm the one who shared it, so that I can add it to a broadcast list, because sometimes I may not be able to share all the links of our class to all WhatsApp groups, but I'll try my best. So kindly get in touch with me. I've shared the link of our WhatsApp group here, and I can also add you to our broadcast list. But we appreciate your time and your presence here today. This is what you do every Thursday. It's a room of thinkers and philosophers, just thinking and sharing our thinking. So we appreciate your presence. Please have a lovely night. To me, it's a lovely morning. So thank you all.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.